G'day cobbers. So it's a new day here in Sappho's garage. I decided I'm going to do a part 2 on this build, repair, whatever you'd like to call it. I did watch over the footage on the previous one, and I am a bit of a dunce and realised the black clip does belong above this secondary silver one. So we'll see how that goes with sealing it. Okay. I did somewhat half attempt this in the first part, but it just didn't look right to me, and I gave up before I should have. So I definitely should have gone through with trying it at least. I'm gonna try wind these down evenly just to get a good seal on there. Bring the camera this way a little bit. I have a tendency to keep pulling it away from view. That's a lot tighter now. Ooh, quite tight, but we'll see how we go. I'll tip it upward and blow through it. That should be pushing down on the float. Excellent, no leaks. And then it comes through the right way up. Excellent. So that's all it takes sometimes, just to try things that you think are not correct, but well, you live and learn. Alright, so that's all that complete now. We'll go over to the bike and see whether we're actually getting spark. Now, one issue I do have also is there's no kill switch. So that is my only form of killing it at the moment, is just earthing that out, and it will stop the spark. I may either try and rig something up or actually try and find the correct button for it. Okay, I'll get a spanner for that, and I'll be back. Alright. That's a very Very tight spot to work in here. Does look quite oily. But quite clean as well, honestly. So we'll see if we can get some spark from that. And some birds have just joined us in the shed. Excellent. Okay. Now where will this sit happily? One sec. Alright, we'll try that. We're getting really good spark on that. That's good. So I'll throw that back in. We can get the carb on and whack some fresh fuel in it. I'm going to be using 50-1 to start off with. Just wipe the top of that. Just nip that up a little bit. Right, there we are. Now I've got the carb. That's not going to stay out of the way for us, that will do there. Try to get one started at least. There we are. Oh, it's such a tight area to work in. Oh, is there better access I can get from somewhere? Not really, no. Right, there we are. Probably should have put this in first, but it should be alright. Okay, so this slot, it looks like, goes on your side. Just get my light here and make sure. Yep, it's all the way down. However, it looks like the idler is up a fair way. So I'll see if I can bring him out a little bit. That's looking a lot better. So that's out probably about 3, maybe 4 turns at the moment, so it does seem a lot, but we can tune that afterward. I'll bring you back in view. So I'm just attaching those 2 bolts there. Now we can get our air cleaner box back on. Might just throw a little bit more oil on that filter. It does have a bit on it, but just to do things right. So this is just some dirt bike air filter oil I've got. And I'll just spray it straight on. And that should be plenty. Rub that in a bit, spread it all out. Come on, focus already. So that's looking really good. Okay, so we've got our air filter and air box here. Try and make sure that's going to sit flush. Beautiful. And then that gets held in place by the 2 screws. So we'll pop them in. we are. Okay. So. I'll put some fuel in it. With just some 50-to-1 mix. After we put the fuel line on, that would be smart. And also, did just want to touch this fuel link up. It's supposed to be crossed over, but it's popped flush against itself. So I'll see if I can bring that back over so it can do what it's supposed to. There we go. Yeah, that's sitting a lot better now. Probably wouldn't do too much as it was like that prior, but just so it's right. There we are. Just turn the fuel off for now. That's choke on, choke off, right? So choke on. Won't put too much in there, just see how we go to start with. Okay, we'll give her a few pulls and see what happens. Turn that fuel back on. Okay, fuel on, chokes on. Spark plugs back on, yep. Alright. That's fine. Alright. Not bad. Alright. Excellent. Alright, well we'll finish her up and see if it is actually going to keep going. I just noticed where the exhaust was sitting as well, it just poured out a heap of oil, so I think that was definitely our issue. It's just all the oil had sunk to the bottom of the tank, and that's all it was getting. And that cap's just about done also. The fuel cap's got a nice crack in it. But we'll put this exhaust on and see how we go anyway. We are leaking some fuel too. Is that from... which looks to be the drain plug. Make sure that's done up. Yeah, that's quite tight. Alright, we'll see if it drips now. Definitely not coming from the overflow. No, coming from the back there somewhere. It seems to be coming from the float bowl. Just tighten up a bit more. And we'll see how we go with that. That seems a bit drier now. We'll see if any leaks from now. Get this exhaust on. This So the exhaust is in place now, somewhat. Just get these started and then get them with the impact drill. there we are. Okay. Still does seem to be dripping just that little bit. The fuel is off, so that could have been why it stopped initially, but it seems to be leaking right from this secondary bolt. It seems to be leaking a few spots as well, honestly. Even from the pet there as well, from the filter and from the float bowl. But anyway, we'll fix those up. Probably just need, yeah, it's coming from this. I might just try and find a bit of better tube. All these clips are doing next to nothing anyway. And it's leaking from that connection. Alright guys, so I was just off camera just putting a new fuel line on, and I believe that's where it could have initially been leaking from. I did break it more when I tried to pull on it, but I'd noticed that before I'd even pulled on it, so it must have had a very hairline crack sort of thing. And yeah, that could have been the area it was leaking from. So I've got a new bit of hose here. I'll cut that to size and put it on. Just make sure it's going to fit. Yep, good. Ourselves a bit extra just in case. Oh. Okay, so it's not on all the way, but definitely enough to hold it there. And see if we get any leaks now. It was obviously leaking a little bit when I pulled the other hose off. I'll just hit that with some air, try and dry it off a bit, and we'll see if any drips come from there. Nearly out of air. Just give me 5 minutes and I'll plug this compressor in and get some more air built up. Alright guys, so I've had the fuel sitting on for about 5 minutes now. I've even stood the bike up straight, how it should be, and it has stopped leaking. There is still a bit of wetness behind here, but I couldn't really get the compressor there, so I'm not sure if it's actually leaking. I highly doubt it. It's very minimal, barely anything at all there. So I'm quite confident in that. I do believe it was definitely just this pipe cracked, and that's the way it was sitting there. And yeah, I obviously tore it more while I was pulling it off. It definitely wasn't that big, but I reckon it just had a slight crack in it like that, and just slightly leaking out. But this one's doing the job for now. Just a bit of straight pipe, so won't have a filter, but that shouldn't be too much of an issue. Alright guys, the leak from the carby has definitely subsided, which is a good sign, but I have encountered something else. We put the kickstand up and it's rubbing right on the chain. So I'm going to try modify it a little bit and try and bend it out somewhat like that to keep it away from the chain. Before I loosen that off too much, I'll try to get that spring off. Need something a bit stronger than that. Actual hook one instead of a right angle, we'll try that. God, that's got some tension on it. Alright. Okay, good. Alright, so sort of looks like either we could bring this entire part out a bit, or try and bend these together a bit. The way we'd want it is to definitely bring this back end one in a bit, because keeping it in line with this front face, it's going to yeah, obviously collide with the chain. I'll just get something to hold this up. There we are, that'll do. And we'll go to the bench and try and sort this out. Alright, so we're here at the bench. What I'm going to try and do is wedge something in between here, maybe a screwdriver or something, and then try and hit the whole lot across that way. Yeah, I was thinking I could probably try and do something like that, but I just don't think it's going to work. Yeah, no, just not going to grip on anything. And I can squeeze them together like that, but yeah, I'll try that first, see how we go. Just bring them together a bit, hopefully not break anything. Alright, that's brought them together. I'll just try to fit that and see how we go. Okay, it is a little bit too tight just at the end here, so open that up just a fraction. And we'll see how we go with that. Just this one bent over a little bit, that's what we're hoping for. Alright, still a little bit more. Oh, that's maybe too much. I think so. So next plan would be something like this and try and knock both of them over. We'll give that a shot. There we are, that's looking pretty good. With a decent amount of gap. Try that. That's good. Even if it's all the way on its bend down, sort of, if that makes sense, it still misses the chain. So that's what we wanted. We'll get this on so we can get it off this uneven stand. Oh, jeez. Okay, that's got some tension, I'll tell you. But that's exactly what we wanted. It's maybe a finger's width away from the chain, so it is still fairly close, but it's not directly against it now, which is what we wanted, so that's good. Just going to make sure that these are tightened up. It's got a lot of slack from there. Need a 5mm. Okay, they weren't even tight. The other side was, whoops, fairly tight, but it turns the whole lot. Oh, there we are. Barely any movement now. Alright, get her off this jack stand. Very good, that's what we're after. Beautiful. Okay, well let's take her outside at long last and see how she goes. Alright, so I've just got you around the side of the shed here. There's a fair bit of wind going on today, so hopefully that stops all the noise a bit. Just about to rev it too. Now, I do believe it should slowly idle down as it warms up. I might just tighten up that idle screw a little bit. We'll rev a lot more, but we can tune that as we go.